Hi guys, this is Erica Weston with
Valley.
Sports Midwest, and you're listening to my favorite St. Louis Blues hockey podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio.
As the world's only personalized vitamin platform based on a health assessment and your DNA, ID Life provides its members with high-quality ingredients backed by pure science.
It's science.
Check out rockinthatidlife.com and speak with Dustin about how you can reach your goals today. That's rockinthatidlife.com.
Sunrise Brewery is a proud sponsor of Let's Go Blues Radio. Visit sunrisebrewery.com today to schedule a no-contact curbside pickup or make a reservation in their awesome tap room. That's Sunrise Brewery, located in Midtown St. Louis. Let's go Blues!
And we are here, everybody. I don't have my my notes ready. This has been a crazy, crazy day. Here we go. Welcome, folks, to Season 9, Episode 45 of Let's Go Blues Radio. This is the fully vaccinated, often intimidated, but never duplicated, imitated. I said intimidated. Already off to a great start here, Bill. Never duplicated, always liberated. We are the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast. Support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by rockinthatidlife.com, the world's only truly personalized vitamin platform based on a health assessment of your DNA, and by sunrisebrewery.com, St. Louis's first and only hockey-themed brewery. We're broadcasting live on Wednesday, July 21st, 2021, post Seattle Expansion Draft. This is franchise episode number 311 all time. Show number 311. Are you a fan of 311, Bill?
I wouldn't say I'm a fan. I dig, their music. Who's not down, right? Right.
Yeah.
That's a solid reference.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I don't dislike them, but can't say that I have full albums in my my catalog.
I will say that I do dislike them. I have seen them live because I like so many bands that are similar to them, but for some reason, I never got into their sound. I've not for me, and I don't know why that is. I like ska music. I like all kinds of rock and alternative, but it never resonated with me. So not a 311 fan, but we'll go ahead and give them reference. They're a pretty famous band. So 311, episode number 311 tonight, in honor of that band that other people like that I do not.
Right. And don't they derive their name? 311, isn't that like the penal code or the statute in Omaha where they're from for possession of marijuana?
I think so. Yeah, I think there was a rumor going around that it was for like public sex or something. But yeah, I think that's correct. I think it's marijuana possession. I am your host, Jeff Ponder, and I'm joined by Bill Day. Kirk Price is on assignment. For your listening pleasure, we'll be talking St. Louis Blues hockey for the next little while. To interact with the show on social media, we're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just do a search for us. If you can listen to a podcast, you can certainly search the internet. Have you checked out our Discord server? Blues fans can talk with other Blues fans with either text or voice chat. The three hosts of the show will periodically be in there this summer, especially when any news breaks. We would have typically been in there tonight, but we're doing a show instead. So, but typically I think this is a situation where we would have been in the Discord chat. For more info, go to letsgoblues.com/Discord. We are dual live streaming right now on YouTube and Facebook. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the show, smash the bell so you'll get notifications when we go live. Bill Day, again, we already talked about 311 on this show. I think we've got some hockey talk coming, but other than that, how has the last week in the life of Bill Day been?
Pretty good. First time I actually took time off of work, like an extended break. So I'm off all this week, and man, I have really, really made an impression on my couch this week. Let me tell you that. um, yeah, I was hoping to get some golf in, but dealing with some back issues. So I'm just chilling with the dogs, watching TV. Decided that I was going to get caught up on Succession. Everybody I know has told me I would love the show, and so far it's pretty good. But yeah, just doing a lot of nothing and enjoying it. So, how about you?
I've had a crazy couple of days here. Well, so Saturday, or I'm sorry, not Saturday. Yesterday was Tuesday. God, I can't believe yesterday was only Tuesday. My phone, I was sitting there in the morning, woke up with my son, getting ready to, get my day started. I'm kind of just, scrolling through Twitter, seeing all the Blues news and all the crazy rumors going around. And then the screen just goes black, which has happened before. Typically, all I have to do is do a restart. Boom, it's fine. Never could restart. It was still making like the usual noises, like when I'd plug it into the charger, it would still make the noise that, hey, it's charging. But I couldn't get, the display's just gone, which I've never had that happen before. And so like I even like picked up my wife's phone and tried to call it, and it would ring on her end, like all the way through until it got to voicemail, but it would never do anything on my actual phone. It just sat there like it was off. And so this was an issue all the way across. I've got some pretty big things going on in my life right now, so this was not a good time. Not that there's ever a good time for your phone to just stop working. In today's world, you always need a damn phone by your side just for whatever reason. But with my job and just there's been a lot of things going on. So, yeah, I had to call up and God, Bill, you've probably dealt with something like this. I know that they're reading off a manual and they're doing their jobs. God bless them. I'm not sitting here complaining about people in the service industry. I'm complaining about what they are basically told to say no matter what. So I call AT&T from my wife's phone, and he's like, well, to verify it's you, I need to send you a text, and you need to read me the code. And I'm like, but my phone's not working. I can't read the text. Oh, hang on a second. And I'm sitting there thinking, I can't be the first person to call because their phone is black and they can't see anything. And I don't know. It was just silly. I'm sitting there. I'm already frustrated. This guy clearly had no idea what to do because the phone wasn't working, so he couldn't verify it was me. And I'm like, this has got to be a normal situation, right? This is crazy. Well, all is well. I got a new phone today. Came in about 6 o'clock, so literally spent the whole draft trying to get things set up on it, get things working. But God, I mean, one of my friends told me today that getting a new phone is getting to a point now where it's like getting a new car or buying a house. It's like become such a hassle now. It's not at that level quite, but I mean, it is annoying when you're like, damn it, I gotta get a new phone now.
Yeah,
so that's been my life.
Yeah, that initial setup, especially if you have to do it on your own. Oh man, that takes forever. I know we switched back in March, switched carriers and both got brand new phones, and we just said, we'll let our friends at Best Buy and the Geek Squad take care of doing everything for us, because I did not look forward to going through that for like the third time in 2 years. So.
Yeah, and my last phone lasted like 3.5 years, which is the longest I've ever had a phone last. So I was really like, okay, I got this new one in like February. I'm like, I want to do this again, hopefully another 3 years or so. And of course, it craps out. No, it was under warranty. I was able to get another one for free, no big deal. But well, and then first too was like when I'm talking to the guy in the service department, he's like, oh, it'll be 4 to 6 business days until your phone gets there. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, man, not acceptable. I need this thing like yesterday, and luckily I was able to get him to priority ship it. But I'm thinking, in today's world, 4 days without a phone, that's an eternity, and especially with the kind of work that we do.
Yeah, that completely unacceptable. Glad they got that resolved for you quicker than 4 to 6 business days.
I tell you what, if I wouldn't have
bizarre.
a phone at this, if I wouldn't have had a phone at this point, you would have had a much more angry Jeff Ponder for this show. So I think it worked out for the best. Today was a much better day than yesterday. Well, and it was also that, okay, last story, and then we'll get into some hockey talk, I promise. They were cutting down a tree on the right on the side yard for me. So as my phone goes black, my first thought is I need to run up to the AT&T store. So I run out there, and St. Louis County is literally blocking my driveway with their truck. And so I look out, and I'm like, there's no one to be found. I'm like, what the hell? They all just disappeared because there was like 7 people here. And so I run inside. I'm screaming. My wife's like, just calm down. I'm like, where did they all go? They can't just block someone's driveway and disappear. Well, I guess they were all sitting in one of the other trucks on the side of the house. I think they were all taking a break. So I guess they saw me like frantically run out looking for someone. And I looked out my front window, and there was somebody scamper into the car to pull it back. And I guess they realized, oh, that guy probably needs to leave. But I'm just like, is this really how today's going to go? This was all at like 10 a.m. So it's just, well, I guess probably about 9 a.m. I'm like, this is going to be the worst day ever. But it all worked out. It all worked out. All right, Bill, let's actually talk about stuff people care about. Official beers of episode number 311, and I say people who care about it. That's me and you. Who cares about the beer we're drinking besides us? But it's our show. We can do what we want. You can follow each of us on the Untapped app. Also, make sure you follow Kurt, CPrice12. Follow me at JPonner94 and Bill over at Billy Blue Note 33. Bill, lead us off. What's your drink of choice tonight?
My drink of choice tonight had to go with this coffee beer for Seattle coming into the league, right? That seems like apropos. 4 Hands Single Origin Imperial Coffee Stout, something I picked up back on Madagascar release day. So I've been sitting on this one in the beer cellar, which isn't really a beer cellar, but been sitting on this for a few months, and thought it was time to break it out, and it's good. It's a nice, good coffee with a little bit of chocolate and blueberry to it. So not a bad break from the summer IPAs I've been drinking.
Oh, that always sounds good to me. Oh, well, today, sir, I am drinking the first of all, out of my wonderful Center Ice Brewery glass, although it is not Center Ice beer. I think this is a favorite of mine that I actually don't think I've ever had on the show, and it's a shame Kurt's not here to chastise me for it. I am drinking PBR, folks.
PBR.
That is my favorite cheap beer. I love it. Every time I see it, if I have to go to Schnucks or whatever, and they got like a 36 pack, I'm like, oh, hell yeah, because it's like $12. Yeah, okay, deal. I love me some PBR, so decided to grab one for tonight. That'd be fun.
Nice.
Yeah, always a good choice. Always a good choice. And so we will get into the Today in Blues history, courtesy of the @STL Blues History account. You can follow him again at STL Blues History. This is for July 21st, 2021. July 21st, 1996, 25 years ago today. A day I think we all actually probably remember fairly well as Blues fans. Wayne Gretzky leaves the St. Louis Blues and signs as a free agent with the New York Rangers. And within the article within the post, STL Blues History included an Associated Press article, I think that was posted in the Post-Dispatch, about how Gretzky was very happy to join the Rangers and, of course, rejoin his friend Mark Messier. Bill, do you remember this day? Do you remember the day that it was official that Gretzky was not coming back?
Vaguely, just had that hope beyond hope that he was going to stay here. And, at the time, with the specter of Mike Keenan still being, the guy in charge, it wasn't going to work out. So it's we all hoped, at least friends that I remember talking to it about, we hoped that the whole Janet Jones connection to St. Louis was going to be enough to keep him here, and but he needed to play on the big stage and go to New York and try to win it again, well, didn't quite work out for him there, but who knows what could have happened. The West was so good in those days. After he left here, that following season, if we could have, built with him, and you have Hull, you have Pronger, and, Grant Fuhr, I think that's a pretty damn amazing team, and they could have done some damage, but yeah, we'll never know.
Even with those guys, as old as they were getting, Hull was at the backstage of his career, Gretzky, Fuhr, even McInnes to a certain extent. Maybe you could argue he was in his prime at that point, but I'm just saying, with some of those guys, Glenn Anderson, another one, even with them at the latter stages of their career, that team was so loaded. You had to think they had a very good shot of doing something if they would have stuck together one more year. Again, fuck Nick Kypreos, something we'll be saying very soon in another podcast we'll be joining. We'll be talking about the 95-96 season, so I'm sure that'll come up a lot. But yeah, fuck Nick Kypreos. Who knows what that team could have done? John Casey played valiantly. But John Casey's not Grant Fuhr. Maybe Grant Fuhr makes that save in Game 7. Maybe he makes different saves to get the Blues a win before Game 7. Who knows? It's just a shame we never got to see that all play out.
Yeah, just that thought alone, the Yzerman goal, that's glove side on Fuhr. That's not sneaking by his blocker. So, it was a hell of a shot, but pretty sure Fuhr's coming up with that one.
So July 21st, 1998, former St. Louis Blues owner Harry Ornest passed away. These are notes here from STL Blues history himself. He says, "Thanks for buying the Blues when nobody wanted them. Damn you for letting your wife design the Blues jerseys." And those jerseys, of course, we mentioned on the show before, but it's the one that have the blue note in the middle with the Blues in an arch across the top with the yellow and the blue sleeves. Really, if it wasn't for the Blues across the top, I don't think that's a bad jersey, but that just ruins the entire jersey.
Yeah, design-wise, they're not good, and those were probably the cheapest material of any jersey I've ever come across. They were like nylon mesh, and like not what we would consider authentic player quality this year. But that was the financial straits the team was in. Hell, the players had to pay for their way back to St. Louis after the loss to Calgary in '86. The team was in such dire straits, but yeah, those the jerseys will always have a special place in my heart because of that '86 team and the Monday Night Miracle. But yeah, the second worst design behind the reverse retro. Third worst behind the reverse retro and the clowns. But
do we? So when we're talking about Blues jerseys, do we count the reverse retro as, since it's a third jersey? Do you count that as an actual like Blues official jersey? Okay.
Yes.
So I'll agree.
Just like I count the Mooterus in Dallas as the worst jersey in hockey history.
That one's pretty bad. I gotta say the recent Stars jerseys with the neon green and the black, hate those too. Those are hideous. Those are a little too laser tag or motocross for my liking. Agreed.
But yeah. Yeah. And just wanted to quickly point out the models in this picture that went along with this STL Today Blues history post. Not your real stars. It's like they grabbed the two guys coming off from the team photo or something, but Gilbert Lorme and Tim Bothwell, two very deep cuts.
Yeah. I didn't bother looking it up. I saw the numbers and I'm like, I don't know who that is. I told you I thought one of them was one of the Cavallini brothers at first. But then I just kept looking. I'm like, I don't know who they are. And I got sidetracked, pulled into something else. And then when you mentioned it, hey, do you know who those two players are? I was thinking, oh, I hope you do, because I fucking don't.
Yeah. Tim Bothwell, big defenseman. So there were two big rangy defensemen on that team. The other being Dwight Schofield. And he was just, straight up given another guy who settled here and used to play in a lot of the men's leagues and actually had a short-lived hockey store in Fairview Heights. But that's definitely not Dwight. Yeah.
Well, I was actually saying we take a break here, but we got a couple comments we'll go ahead and get to because some of them kind of relate to what we just talked about. Rodney Hale says Landeskog to the Blues, hopefully, and he gives us a winky face. Yeah, we've talked about him last week and the week before. I'm sure we'll talk more. We'll see. He was not selected by the Kraken, hint, hint. But yeah, we'll see. Definitely interesting. I hope that happens. Winning Unlimited. So nice for the Kraken to start a franchise on the 4-year anniversary of Center Ice Brewery. That was planned, right? They had Center Ice came in 4 years ago. Let's do this the same day. It's a pinnacle in the hockey market, if you ask me. Yeah. Not just saying that because they're a sponsor. Winning Unlimited also adds today in history, the final Harry Potter book is released. What year was that? I'm wondering, Mr. Gold, because I don't follow Harry Potter. During the pandemic, I finally watched all the movies. My wife made me. Visited Harry Potter World and Universal when I was there a couple months ago, but not a big Harry Potter guy. So tell me what year that was. I'd be interested. Bill, do you have any idea?
No. I think we are, like Kurt said last week or the week before, he's not a Harry Potter guy either, which surprised me, given the age of his kids. But yeah, I have attempted to watch the first movie and do the audiobook of the first book, and I just can't get into it. I don't know what it is.
Same here.
The rest of my family, they're huge Harry Potter fans. My dad, I know that was one thing my dad was doing a lot of before he wanted to go into the nursing home, was watching all the Harry Potter movies as often as he could. So
that's my wife is really into it. When we first met, I remember she said, by the way, Winning Unlimited says 2007 release date for Harry Potter 7. That was when my wife graduated high school. So that would make sense. So she kind of grew up with those books. I tried. Yeah. Sorry. I know that makes me feel old too. Trust me. Because I graduated 1975. So I'm just kidding, everybody. Or am I? So Chad Cooley, this is going to lead us into break here, folks. He says, what do you guys think about the Kraken just signing Charlie Conway of Minnesota? Will he contribute immediately? Chad, I think we're all wondering the same thing, especially since he was just featured in an NBC show about him being a bad doctor called Dr. Death. Anybody who knows Joshua Jackson knows that's what the reference is. But we will talk about the expansion draft after a word from our friends over at rockin'thatidlife.com. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Put that energy drink down. Don't you know that common energy drinks contain high levels of caffeine and other harmful ingredients that can lead to increased blood pressure and heart rhythm disturbances? Finding that energy you need for everyday activities doesn't need to put your health at risk. ID Life's energy formula doesn't use artificial ingredients or a massive dose of caffeine. Energy's caffeine levels are released slowly over time, allowing for longer periods of energy without crash, not to mention keeping your heart safe. Energy also includes neurotransmitters for mood, focus, memory, and cognitive function. ID Life also added antioxidants associated with brain health for no reason besides perfection. With RockinThatIDLife.com, you can get an energy boost and leave the heart risk behind. Text Dustin at 636-393-8745 or visit RockinThatIDLife.com and throw those gas station energy drinks in the garbage. That's 636-393-8745 and RockinThatIDLife.com and tell Dustin that Let's Go Blues Radio sent you. Well, Bill, obviously there's a huge Blues tie-in, lots of Blues talk to get with this expansion draft. But before we get into that, I did want to talk to you about the show itself, which was held on ESPN2. First ESPN coverage since before the 2004 lockout. So this was kind of their welcoming the NHL back. So we'll talk about the the actual show. As well as the picks that we're going to get into, who wasn't picked, who Bill said before the show is probably what's more interesting than the picks themselves, which I completely agree. But first of all, let's talk about first thing I want to mention is kind of a bitch fest. It was all over social media today. Frank Saravelli, who's a great reporter, and I hold nothing against him at all for anything he said or did on Twitter. I think he's doing his job. He did a great job. You know, any other time, that's exactly what you want to hear from your reporters. For me, though, completely took away the suspense of what tonight was supposed to be. Same thing happened with the Golden Knights back when they first joined the league. The leaked players coming out, it was started at about 10 o'clock this morning Central Time. Pretty much every pick was leaked. I think maybe 29 of them. I think Detroit was really the only one that hadn't leaked. And granted, that's agents, that's GMs, that's players. It's on the NHL for not finding a way to put a tighter lid on this. But I did watch the show, and again, we'll get to the actual production value here in a minute. But what did you think of that? Was that something that bothered you? Do you care? Were you excited to find out on live TV? What are your thoughts on it?
Well, let's just put it this way. If I had any hopes for the broadcast, they were quickly dashed. So at the end of the day, I don't mind that we knew the two biggest storylines going into this thing. I mean, this is like, They called around at ESPN to see who was the closest person to Seattle that could do it, and they got what's his name, Fowler, to do it.
John Fowler. Is that his first name? Chris Fowler. Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, and it was, God, we'll have to talk about that in a bit. But no, the insiders got to it before everything. Like you said, Frank Saravalli, had let it go about Price and about Tarasenko both being passed over, and that's those are obviously for me the two biggest storylines going into it. So I still tuned in to watch it. But I was going to watch it regardless. But yeah, that's, I'll admit, like you said, it's on the players and the agents more than anything else.
I'll admit, I don't think I would have watched it if we weren't going to have a podcast tonight. I think when I started seeing all the picks, because Kurt and I remember for the Vegas one, we actually went to a now defunct bar, that Blue Note Sports Bar and Grill, which I would say RIP, but I don't think Kurt shares those sentiments. We actually went there and did a live show. We actually did it while the picks were being announced. And at first we thought, oh, this is going to be really cool because like we'll be able to like have live reaction on how we feel like this team's going to look. We are going to have live reaction on who the Blues are losing. But again, it all came out that afternoon. So really the show, we even texted each other and said, we may not even want to do this now that all the picks are out. Who cares? And it's the same thing here. So when I started seeing the picks come out, I probably wouldn't have watched it. I just said, you know what? We're podcasting about it tonight. The production's going to come up. I'm going to watch it for that reason. Otherwise, I really don't think I would have. So now that we're into that, let's talk about the production of the show itself. You mentioned Chris Fowler, Dominic Moore were your hosts for the evening. Why is it? And I remember we bitched about this with Vegas too. Why can we never get microphones fucking working in live events for the NHL? They never work.
Right. The second they brought Kevin Weeks out on stage, he's talking and you're not hearing him. And they had to hand him a handheld mic, and it's like they're using the same mics that the refs, the on ice officials use. They're always broken. Just embarrassing. It's fucking embarrassing.
Fucking embarrassing. Yeah, I felt like Dominic Moore should have been kicking a trash can across the stage. It's obnoxious.
Yeah, I was going to say kudos to the NHL. I think we talked about this, in previous shows, but the talent that ESPN's picked up, Dominic Moore, Kevin Weeks, Brian Boucher, huge fans of those guys' work. Glad they're going to ESPN, but if this is the production value that we're going to get from hockey broadcasts, I mean, it was painful from start to finish. I mean, from like you said, the mic's not working, to not prepping the players or not prepping the basketball and football guys for you're dealing with hockey names.
Donskoy, that was rough.
Marshawn Lynch, it's pronounced Donskoy, right? Don't spring it on him. Like it seems like that was part of the joke, right? It seemed like a big joke.
And that's what I don't understand. I was going to make the exact same point because with this, okay, so I think it was Sean Kemp, right? That said Donskoy,
right? And it was Marshawn Lynch that said Donskoy.
Marshawn Lynch was Calle Yarncroc.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So with Sean Kemp, I understand to a certain extent that was live, but at the same time, tell these guys 3 hours before and spell it phonetically and say Jonas Donskoy. Like that's spell it phonetically if you have to. Who cares? He doesn't need to know the actual spelling.
Show him a couple of clips.
The one that pissed me off more was the Marshawn Lynch because that was pre-recorded. That was clearly pre-recorded. So even if you don't prep him for how to say it, you record the first take and he calls him my boy Callie, can't say his last name. Okay, cut. It's Calle Yarncroc. Say Calle Yarncroc. Calle Yarncroc. Okay, we're good to go. Why not do that? So he at least gets the name right. I don't know. It was very silly to me.
And that's the part. It was like they wanted the laugh value, right? They is cringeworthy for us uptight hockey fans, but they wanted the laugh value for ESPN, I think, to hear Marshawn Lynch butcher the name.
Still one of my favorite butcherings of all time was a couple of years. It was whenever Martin St. Louis won the Art Ross and the most valuable player, I'm drawing a blank, the Hart. And they had a bunch of the Desperate Housewives come up on stage for the show. Do you remember this? And they all three said it at the same time. And they go, and the winner is Martin St. Louis. And it was just, oh, can you not, right before they go on stage, say it's Martin St. Louis? Like, and again, spell it phonetically. These hockey names are not hard, are not easy to pronounce. I don't blame people for not understanding it. It's on the NHL to make sure those people know how to say it. Oh, terrible.
Yeah. Cringeworthy.
Yeah, and I'll say too, another kind of going back to my last point about the leaks of who's being selected. I think the only way around that, and again, I get that maybe the players don't want this. Maybe it's even something that's worked out in the CBA. I don't know. But why not have them submit the list right before the show, an hour before the show? Nobody else sees it except ESPN. That way they can get clips ready. They can have the show ready for when the picks are announced. And then that way there's no leaks. And again, I know players are probably going to want to know beforehand. You know, and they want to get some of the players there like they did tonight. They did the same thing in Vegas. I get that to a certain extent, but I don't understand why they can't just, hey, we got the draft at, 5 o'clock Pacific time. Your list is due at 4 o'clock. That's when you submit it. We don't want to see it before because we don't want anybody to leak it. Submit it at 4 o'clock. Submit it to ESPN and the NHL registry, and that's it. So, I don't know. It's so many things wrong with the way the NHL does this stuff. And I really hope that ESPN is going to help them correct some of this stuff. Because from how I understand it, with the microphone issues and all that, it's the NHL that puts on the production, and it's ESPN that finds the hosts and all that. So basically, it's an NHL event that's hosted by ESPN. So again, I could be wrong on that, but that's how I believed it to be in the past when they were doing it on NBC Sports, so I imagine nothing's changed. Maybe ESPN needs to step in and say, we need to up your production value. Let us take control of this stuff.
Yeah. Or they're going to have to learn where the gaps are to do that, right? The NHL brings so much. I think, it's going to be, well, it's going to be an interesting year with the two new broadcast partners. And so far, ESPN's kind of picked up where they left off in terms of, just not really giving it their all to support hockey. But
yep. Well, let's get into some of the picks themselves. You know what? Do you want to talk about the Blues first? This is kind of fly off the seat of our pants here. Let's talk about the Blues. So you mentioned to me, again, before the show, that the biggest story you felt is the players not picked. And one of those was Vladimir Tarasenko. If you follow us on Twitter, you know that a friend of the show, gentleman we had on during the Behind Enemy Lines series for the Philadelphia Flyers, Anthony Sanfilippo, I believe is how you say his name. He's a very trusted source, former beat writer for the team. He had tweeted that apparently the rumor was Tarasenko was going to be picked by Seattle, and he was going to be flipped to Philadelphia for draft picks and Jakub Voracek. And so that was kind of the buzz around St. Louis the last couple days. News comes out today that they decided to draft Vince Dunn. So your thoughts on, first of all, I guess if you want to talk about Tarasenko being unprotected and then him not being picked, go right ahead, Bill.
Well, I totally expected that Tarasenko was going to be gone. I expected Seattle to do a lot more wheeling and dealing. It worked well for Vegas. Drafting people and flipping them, and there was none of that, and that surprised me. Having names out there, like Tarasenko, like Carey Price, hell, like Jonathan Quick, you can bring in a really good player for nothing. Just their salary cap hit. And, the approach that Seattle took was so tepid. To me, it looks like they loaded up on defense, and they're going to try and wheel and deal from a point of power. With as much depth as they're going to have on D, because they don't have much on forward. I mean, try to piece together a top line here. You have Yanni Gourde, Jonas Donskoy, and Jordan Eberle. That's who I would slate as my opening night first line from this group right here, and that's not great. So why not go with Vladimir Tarasenko? Why not take a flyer on at least Jonathan Quick, if not Carey Price? I'm glad as hell that Carey Price is not out of Montreal. I mean, that seemed like a gamble at best, a poorly calculated gamble at best on Bergevin's part. But I think the any lingering doubts, in terms of Carey Price's health and his contract was just enough to scare Seattle off, and they really went with this, build from the back kind of mentality. And I'll be interested to see what happens come Friday night in the entry draft.
Yeah, I think, well, yes, the entry draft I think is going to be very interesting, not just because of the Kraken, but I think a lot of teams are going to be wheeling and dealing more than we usually see in the draft, just because, again, a flat cap, big name free agents being available, which I think typically in a post-cap era, I don't think that's the case. I think it's again, we have COVID-19 to thank for that. But I think that I think even tomorrow, once the trade freeze ends, which I think is 1 o'clock our time or noon our time, I think you're going to see Kraken very involved in some trades. Lot of picks. No, I don't think they made particularly any bad picks by any means. They went very young, very, very young.
Very, very young.
Very young, way younger than I think probably I'd like to see the numbers, but any expansion team in the last 40 years in the NHL, most of their picks were 23, 24 years old. So, and guys who only had a handful of NHL games.
Right.
And I like you mentioned the Montreal pick. Man, I would have taken Carey Price. They took Mark Giordano, who is probably going to be the face of the franchise for the first year, depending on what else they do. But I'm looking at that and I'm saying, Carey Price, man, that's your Marc-Andre Fleury. Fleury became an instant fan favorite. I think with him having the local ties, that would have been the great pick. But I will say, K.O. Fleury is a good defenseman. And picking him and his brother Hayden, which I was actually kind of surprised that Anaheim left him exposed. I think that's two solid picks right there. And I think that's something fans will get behind, having the two brothers playing on the same team. But lots of stuff that I looked at. I know that they signed Alexiak. They're going after Larson as free agents, but I'm with you. Quick, Price, take one veteran goalie of all the ones that were available. Get the name on the team, and they're going to sell out every game. I'm not worried about that for them, but just to get the jersey sales, I mean, why not go for it?
Yeah, and that's like the thing that's really missing here, and what makes me think that they're going to try to make a big splash with a trade or a bigger free agent signing. Right now, like you said, Giordano, he's going to be the face of the franchise, right? He's the veteran guy. He's the defenseman, former Norris Trophy winner, hell of a defenseman. But he's pretty long in the tooth. He's been around a long time. Plays a very heavy physical style. Body's not going to last too much longer playing that way. I think it's kind of you go back to Vegas, and Derek Englund, became kind of that locker room favorite, and the first locker room leader. And I think with Giordano, you instantly have that, right? It wasn't immediately apparent, right? Derek Englund was just kind of a third pairing defenseman for the Penguins before he went to Vegas, and really adopted that city. And in light of what happened, with the mass shooting there, he really rallied that team around the city. Hopefully there's nothing tragic like that happens. This is Seattle. But yeah, I mean, you've got Mark Giordano. I mean, you had the chance to put Vladimir Tarasenko on a jersey and sell it, and make a lot of money. And you had a chance to put Carey Price on the back of a jersey and make a lot of money, and they didn't do it. And from a goaltending perspective, Chris Driedger, kind of a little bit of an up and comer, but was never going to get the playing time in Florida because of the Bobrovsky signing. Vitek Vanacek, was not going to overtake Ilya Samsonov in Washington. And then Joey Decord from Ottawa. I don't know that Ottawa is where I'd go for my goaltending depth. I mean, I guess it kind of worked for the Blues, although Brian Elliott was a Colorado Avalanche property before the Blues signed him. I don't know, that kind of a head scratcher there, especially with two, Vezina quality goalies in Price and Quick on the board, that you go with those three. I think Vanacek probably has the biggest upside of all those guys. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe defense. It seems like they're building from the backside out, and you have a stout enough defense. Maybe one of those guys will get you enough wins to get you in the playoffs. But as it sits right now, as I turned off the broadcast tonight, there's no way in hell this playoff team. Now, it's not even close.
I will say in the Pacific, they might, again, Vegas, we looked at that team and said there's no way they make the playoffs. They ended up going to the Stanley Cup final and losing to the Capitals. They can, obviously it can happen. The young team can come together and surprise us. I don't think it's going to happen this time, but what I do think is going to happen, I think you're going to see the side deals. I think you're going to see a lot of stuff coming up as soon as the trade freeze is over. Like you said, the draft this weekend is going to be interesting. I think there will be plenty of moves having to go with Seattle. But I do want to talk about Vince Dunn. We'd be remiss if we didn't. So this to me, honestly, I know that Vladimir Tarasenko was the sexy pick. We mentioned jersey sales. To me, it was Vince Dunn all along. I looked at him as the guy that makes the most sense because Tarasenko, you still have your question marks. Is he really 100%? Is he really going to be able to come back and be that guy we've seen him be? So with that question in mind, it was always Vince Dunn. And we even heard earlier today, before the Dunn pick was announced, that Jaden Schwartz was a possibility. That's a guy that they were eyeing for free agent talk. So maybe they'll pick him so they get the exclusive rights to try and talk to him. So there was a lot up in the air, but Dunn to me makes the most sense, especially with how we saw they went with defense. Very defensive team, young defense, which Dunn is young. I think that was a solid pick for the Kraken.
Yeah, no, he's out of all of those guys, out of all the D that they picked, he's the guy that's going to lead the rush, right? And he was the in the advanced stats community, he was the one that everybody went to in terms of Blues defensemen, leading, driving possession, being, just the guy that created opportunity. And, I don't think he ever was a good fit with Berube. And I think you're right all along. It was going to be Vince Dunn. From the get-go, looking at who could possibly be available, Dunn was always in that conversation, and he always made the most sense. Guy that can't crack the top four for some reason on this roster, and it's I think long term it's going to be a loss for the Blues, but if they're going to lose somebody, and hopefully, we will be able to deal with that. I don't think that, I love Jake Wallman. I think he'll do well here, but he's not going to be a replacement for him. Maybe Perunovich, if he gets healthy, will make us forget Vince Dunn. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you. I thought, if this is the coach we're going to roll with, which, Berube's won us the Stanley Cup, and I think he deserves at least the better part of next year to prove that he can get the Blues back into higher than mediocrity. He's earned that. And Vince Dunn is not a player that fits in his system. He never has. So I'm actually okay with that. And again, I've said this on the show before with you on Perunovich, 100%. I think he steps in. He's going to be a standout. Maybe he's not a standout rookie, but by his second or third year, I think you'll see him doing a lot of stuff that Vince Dunn did, if not better than Vince Dunn did. So, and then you've just got so much offensive D back there that I think they knew, okay, we're going to probably lose Dunn, or one of these guys we're going to have to get rid of. Now, Dunn would have been a nice trade chip. He's young, he's quick, he's got good hands, his analytic numbers are ridiculous. I think that would have been great for a trade. But, like you said, you have to lose somebody. And you can't protect everyone. So, I know that I was crazy in my defenseman keeps when I announced my keeper list, just because I wanted one of those high-priced defensemen to go. But let's be honest here. I knew the whole time that wasn't going to happen. The Blues want to keep Falk, they want to keep Parayko, and they want to keep Krug. There's no more room for Dunn there. You had to leave him exposed. And unfortunately, like I said earlier, that's just, to me, the best pick Seattle could have made from the Blues roster. I'll add too, talking about Tarasenko real quick, and then we'll move on here. But seeing that he thinks or knows, we'll see this season, that he's a 30 or 40 goal scorer still. 2 years left on his contract. Had a chance to go to a new team for free. Literally a team that had nothing to give up to get him. And then he doesn't get picked. There's been talk about a giant chip on his shoulder. Yeah, I think that chip has gotten bigger now.
It's, yeah. Can his shoulder handle it, though? I guess that's really the question.
Burn!
Yeah. He's wherever he plays next year. I think he is going to start out on fire, provided he doesn't, overexert himself, hurt himself again, and hopefully the surgery took. I would still love to see the guy. I would love to see him make amends and stay here. He is a generational talent. That we haven't had in terms of goal scoring, but it's probably past that. His trade value is pretty low. I think the what we would be looking at is, whether or not, Armstrong can find a deal, and will he report to camp if he can't? I don't know. It's going to be some interesting off-season stuff. So I'm really interested to see what happens, this weekend with the draft and all the, the trade possibilities. So.
Yeah, and I'll add, there's no official talk yet, but I know Bill and Kurt and I, as I mentioned early in the show, and as we mentioned at the top of every show, make sure you keep your eye out on Twitter, maybe even Facebook. We might be jumping in that Discord server during the draft, after the draft, depending on what happens. Could be a lot of interest there. So if you're interested in talking with some fellow Blues fans, whether with voice or text, make sure you check out letsgoblues.com/Discord. Wrapping up talking about the Seattle Kraken here. What was your favorite pick that they made?
Yeah, I was going to ask you the same thing. I think their best pick that they made was Yanni Gourde. That guy's he is an all around solid hockey player. He may be able to slot in as a 1C on this team. Certainly right now that's what he looks like. But if there's a guy who's got the energy and the drive to make that happen on this roster, it's going to be him. That was the one guy that I'm like, yeah, that was absolutely the right pick.
Yeah, that to me was a no-brainer pick. I think if they would have skipped out on him, and then talking about what we talked about earlier with Price and Tarasenko and even Quick, a name, somebody you need. If they would have skipped out on him, that would have been, what the hell are you doing, Ron Francis? But no, that's a great pick. The one that I really liked and that I think a lot of people kind of overlooked and said, this, there's so many goalies available. Why would they take this guy? I like the Vanacek pick. He basically became Washington's starter for a bit last season and looked fantastic. Yes, they lost in the first round to Boston, but I don't put that on Vanacek, who got hurt, by the way. I think that is a solid pick for them. I was like, you got to pick Price, number one, and your backup is going to be Vanacek. Maybe a pick, and I thought Drieger was a good pick too, but I thought maybe you have those two battle it out, and then you trade the other one if, whatever reason, whatever goalie doesn't work out for you. But Vanacek was a great pick. I also really like Mark Giordano. I know he's older, but you got to have that veteran presence back there. And I think, to me, that's, depending on what else happens, that's your first captain in Kraken history is Giordano.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's been the captain of the Flames for last 7-8 years, since Iginla retired. Since Iginla moved on, from Calgary. A no-brainer that he's going to be the guy to wear the C. And it's not going to be like Vegas where they didn't name a C in the first year. You draft Mark Giordano and don't give him the C, you did it wrong.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, Dave Haxcole, hopefully you're listening. By the way, what's with Bettman not being able to pronounce Haxtell's name? Did you pick up on that? He called him Hextall.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
To me, it's Gary. I think Gary's got a lot of. That was probably a shot at him. Gary seems to be a pretty dialed in guy when it comes to people, and I don't know. Maybe it is just I don't need to worry about what your name is kind of thing. But the fact that Hextall fired Haxtall,
yeah, Well, then Hextall himself was fired.
Right. Right. And the Blues lost a hell of a trading partner.
Yeah, yes, they did. One more thing on the production that I actually did want to mention. Anaheim Mighty Ducks.
Well,
Anaheim Mighty Ducks.
Right. And Carolina Panthers. Did you catch that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So the Carolina Panthers had both the Carolina Hurricanes and the Carolina Panthers are sharing Twitter fun tonight. And,
boy.
They have the Hurricanes logo and Panthers colors as their logos on their Twitter feeds tonight.
That's fantastic. I haven't seen that. That's fantastic.
Well, of course, Chris Fowler was gonna make a football reference. Unintended. Yeah.
And it's live, man. I get it. But you gotta correct yourself, And again, for me, yes, Carolina Panthers was bad. Anaheim Mighty. When was the last time they were the Mighty Ducks? Was that 2005? 16 years? Come on.
Yeah.
Ugh, rough stuff. Let's hope that production value gets better with ESPN and TNT over the years.
Yeah. Well, I think I was just trolling Twitter, and it looks like John Buccigross is on his annual playing the best golf courses in the U.S. tour, or else he would have been the guy there tonight.
Oh, yeah. I wish he would have been. That would have been perfect. Even Barry Melrose. That guy can annoy the hell out of me, but, to welcome hockey back, who better than Barry Melrose?
Yeah.
Mike Leon in the Facebook chat says, nice haircut, Ponder, looking sharp. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. I did get a cut today, actually, for the show. I did it for you. No, it's not true. It was getting kind of long, and if I let it go too long, that's when I start letting it grow and grow and grow, and it gets, to be like the crazy lion mane that we've all seen. So I try to keep it short so I don't have a reason to let myself do that.
And we're getting to the hot part of the year. You don't need that flow right now.
Exactly. And last year I had the long hair going all summer, and it was unbearable. I stopped running outside for that reason. I was like, I can't jog outside anymore. It's too hot. I have too much hair. I need to start jogging on a treadmill. So yeah, I like my ability to go outside whenever I want. So I got to keep the hair short. So moving on. Well, I should ask you, Bill, anything else you want to talk about with the expansion draft?
No. Just, Seattle's a place I've wanted to visit, and now that they've got a hockey team, all the more so. But I don't know. It'll have to be for a Blues or Canadiens game, because their team right now is not inspiring me on its own.
Well, we'll see in the coming days how that team looks, but I agree. No, I told the wife tonight, and I've said for years, there's one part of the country I've never seen, and that's the Pacific Northwest. And I'm dying to see it. That is literally like that, and the Aurora Borealis are two things. And I'm like, I will see this before I die. So now, like you said, now that there's a hockey team up in Seattle, all the more reason to make a 2-week trip up there, stop in, see a hockey game, maybe even go to Vancouver, see a game up there. Looking forward to that. I'm hoping I can do that in the next couple of years.
Yeah, that's the dream. Seattle and Vancouver. I've been to Portland, spent a little bit of time in Oregon, loved it, and can't imagine it's going to get any worse the further up the coast you go.
Our friend Dustin Paul from RockinThatIDLife.com gives us a little wavy emoji on Facebook. What's up, Dustin? Thanks for listening. Mike Leon also adds, Al Iafrate cut is what you generally go for. So I will say, I showed my wife a picture of Al Iafrate, and I said, this is my next haircut. And she said, I won't be around to see it. So I was like, all right, fine, I won't do it.
Chips are down.
That's right.
Yeah, it takes a special person to rock the skullet.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, that's something the wife will never allow. So I tell you what, though, for whatever reason, it doesn't work out. That's the first haircut I'm going to have. So the NHL prior to tonight announced the preseason schedule for all 32 NHL teams. For the Blues, they have 8 preseason games. One of those includes October 2nd, Blackhawks at Blues. It's actually going to be in Independence, Missouri at the Cable Dahmer Arena, which is the home of the Kansas City Mavericks. Before we go on, Bill, have you ever been to the Cable Dahmer Arena?
No, I can't believe that anybody would name a place in 2021. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm with you, Bill. I know where you're going with this. Dahmer, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And apparently my dogs totally disagree with that too, because
how dare you?
Dahmer got a hold of one of them. Jesus.
Oh boy.
That seriously, like, you know, this it's almost on par with it being the Cable Hitler Arena, right? It's just one of those names that, you know, yeah, you might be proud of your name, but it's infamous. Drop it.
Okay, I was gonna say I couldn't remember because I've been there, and I couldn't remember what it was called when I went. Silverstein Ice Centers Arena is what it was when I went. So, apologize for my cat jumping in the camera there, but yeah, I was gonna say I saw the name of the arena. I thought I feel like I would remember if that was the name of the arena, but yeah, when I went, it was not named that. Interesting name to be sure, but still, game in Independence, Missouri, which is exciting, I think. And we've seen this with games at the Sprint Center in Kansas City. I think this is still the NHL testing the waters with Kansas City, whether it be bumping the Mavericks up to the AHL or bring an NHL team in the next 20, 30 years.
Yeah, certainly, you know, from a geographical standpoint, it would help balance things out. I mean, it's odd that, you know, Arizona, which is, you know, an hour flight from LA, is going to be in the Central. And that's just always going to feel weird. So, you know, you bring in a team in, you know, either Kansas City or Houston for that matter. You add, you know, to the Central Division. You know, I think that either one of those locations makes sense. You know, I spent a little bit of time in Kansas City for work a few years back, and, you know, talking about how the Sprint Center is, you know, a marquee venue that has no anchor tenant, and the people that I talked to were like, yeah, it's okay. We have a nice state of the art arena that doesn't get abused, and, you know, we don't need the NBA, we don't need the NHL, but you don't build a building like that without eventually putting something in there.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. You know, the fact that they're putting it in Independence, you know, that's you know, further into the Missouri side. Interesting. But I don't know. If the COVID situation's the same, I will definitely not even think about making the drive to catch the game.
Nice. Yeah. Man, that'd be awesome. A Let's Go Blues radio night in Independence, Missouri. Could be fun.
Yeah. It would take a lot to happen. Like, you know, either the pandemic gets so hot that everybody dies off and sanity returns, or magically the numbers get under control. But
I'll add too, for anybody who's not familiar with the Missouri landscape, it is a 9.4 mile drive from Independence to Kansas City downtown. So yes, it's a lot of people consider Independence basically the St. Charles of St. Louis. So the St. Charles of Kansas City. So, anyway, so that's cool. I'm always happy to see them have a game out there in Kansas City. I know the Blues have a fair following out there, but 8 preseason games. I saw some teams have 6. So I'm like, why do the Blues have more preseason games than other teams? Have you noticed that? The other teams only have 6 games.
I haven't. And the Blues have always been willing to do the split squad games, though. There have been a couple times where they've had 2 games on the same day in different venues, and just, whatever. It's preseason. You're letting camp invitees and rookies that don't really have a chance, play in the big club sweaters and represent them, for that short period. I don't know. It's so hard to put anything into preseason for me. It's gearing up for the year, right? That's the best I can say for it.
Yeah, it's funny. I think it was it wouldn't have been last year. I guess it would have been 2 years ago. I remember they actually did broadcast 1 or 2 Blues preseason games on NHL Network. And I was all excited to watch it and be like, oh, yeah, all right, I get to watch some preseason action on TV. And I turned it on for the first period, and I turned it off. And then my wife and I started watching something else, and she goes, oh, hey, I think, you probably want to turn the game back on, right? And I go, I think I'm good. She's like, really? You've been talking about hockey all summer. You don't want to watch it? And I'm like, I just can't get into it. Like, I've been gifted tickets to the preseason home games, and I enjoy them. It's hockey. It's live hockey. I enjoy it. But when it's on TV, man, I don't care that much. I mean, I'll watch it if nothing else is on, but it's just not that important to me because it's, you pretty much know who's going to be on the roster. Yeah, there's going to be a couple, Lee Stempniaks that come out of nowhere. But for the most part, it's just not that interesting to watch. It's, guys like O'Reilly, guys like the game breaker type players you see. Either they're not playing, or if they are, you can tell they're just kind of going out there for warm up, and that's about it.
Right.
So
and you're hoping the whole time they're not going to get injured.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
I think that the people that, really dial into preseason broadcasts are the people that are trying to fill out their 6 hours, 8 hours of, watching tape on the Eric Foley's of the world.
Oh, Eric Foley. Well, Bill, we're up against the break here, so we're gonna take it. Let's hear from our friends over at Center Ice Brewery.
Center Ice Brewery is St. Louis's only hockey-themed brewhouse. Stop on in during the next game to experience the ultimate hockey fan brewery while sampling various hockey-inspired beers, such as Old Arena Lager, the Beauty IPA, the Rotating Pale Ale Series, or seasonal offerings such as their Imperial Stout, their Lime Sherbet Sour, and much more. While you're there enjoying any number of their fantastic beverages, you can admire the bar top and tables made of authentic arena wood and the actual penalty box door from the old barn. Located at 3126 Olive Street in Midtown St. Louis, it's one of the best places to watch a Blues game, or any game. Visit centericebrewery.com today to schedule a no-contact curbside pickup or make a reservation in the tap room. Center Ice Brewery. Let's go Blues. Please drink responsibly.
And we are back. We got some comments to get to. Derek in the YouTube chat says, if Seattle wants to pick up high-end talent, they probably want to negotiate their own contracts with free agents, then take on the tail end of aging contracts that were designed before the cap freeze. So not surprised they didn't pick up many big names. That is definitely true. I can see that. They have, what was it, like $30 to $40 million now in cap space, which is insane. So they could literally go out against every big name free agent and say, hey, come here, new franchise. For a guy like Landeskog, we're going to give you a leadership role. I could definitely see that. So again, we'll see what the Kraken do in the next week, because I think it could get very interesting in Seattle.
Yeah. And Jeremy Rutherford tweeted earlier tonight about Tarasenko, talking about the pre cap freeze deals. Tarasenko's no trade clause complicated things and kept that deal from happening. Whether that's the Philly deal that you alluded to earlier, but apparently that was enough to keep the Kraken from taking a chance on trying to move Tarasenko if he wasn't going to accept where he was going to wind up going.
So, talking about some rapid fire hockey tidbits now. Staying in the Central Division, we'll mention Nashville Predators made headlines. Well, they didn't, but one of their prospects did. Luke Prokop. Am I saying that right, Bill? I think it's Prokop.
Yeah.
He has publicly come out as gay. 2020 third-round pick. He plays for the Calgary Hitmen still. He's 19 years old. There has never been an openly gay NHL player. So this is kind of a groundbreaking story. We saw, I'm drawing a blank on his name, an NFL, I think it was a lineman, came out recently on social media, and they both kind of said the same thing, that this isn't something that they really and truly wanted to do because they're kind of private people, but they know it's better to grow for the people they know, the people who might be struggling. This is going to help that kind of mentality go away, that it's okay to be who you are. So I love it. I applaud this kid so much. I am rooting so hard for him to make the NHL so I can root against him, because once he gets here, I'm gonna boo you. I'm gonna hope you play poorly, but until you get here, I'm a big fan of yours, Luke, and man, I really hope he makes it to the show.
Right, and that's assuming the Blues don't wind up acquiring him before he gets here.
Then I'm getting his jersey.
Right. Right. It's just, I'm all for it. Hopefully, the name escapes me of the NFL lineman that just came out. Because before it was Michael Sam who came out before, joining the Rams, never got a regular season snap in the NFL because he was basically blacklisted because of coming out. And hopefully the same thing doesn't befall Mr. Prokop, because I'll tell you that is takes a lot of courage. And I'm happy to see the inclusion. The NHL's embraced it. We've had I think it was Brock McGillis, a former NHLer who's also come out as gay, was tweeting and applauding, the NHL interns who were running the show, coming out after the Twitter trolls, comment, with the expected comments about, they don't care, just shut up and play hockey kind of thing. And that there has to be a bit of an activist mentality if you're ever going to move past the history and the what is presumed to be baked in resistance to the idea of having people be openly come out and be open about their sexuality. And again, I'm with you. I applaud it. And until you put on that Nashville Predators jersey, I'm all for you.
Yeah, and I'll say, like, I do agree with the sentiment that people say, I can't wait until the day that this isn't news, because it's like, if one day, hopefully we get to a point where players don't have to feel like they have to come out and admit that they're gay or that they're bi or that they're gender fluid or whatever it might be. I'm hoping there's a day that day comes, so I agree with that sentiment. But at the same time, today, 2021, July 2021, that kind of stuff is needed. It's needed to prove to not only young athletes, but older athletes and people that aren't even athletes, people who just watch the sport. It's okay. Be who you are. Be who you want to be. That's the kind of voice we need to hear more from. And again, Luke Prokop, not an easy thing to do. Think about it this way, Bill. I don't know. I'm sure you've known gay people in your life or whatever, but I've had serious conversations with some of my friends that happen to be gay about what was it like telling your parents? What was it like telling your, for one guy, what was it like telling your pastor? And it was a very hard situation. Imagine having to come out to the entire world, like knowing that you're going to get trolls on social media coming after you. And there's potential that you're going to take the rink next season and somebody's going to say something to you that is off color. Having the courage to do that. By the way, Carl Nassib was the NFL player who came out as gay.
Right.
And just having the balls, honestly, to come out and tell the world that, hey, I'm going to put myself in the public spotlight for a couple days, to what a lot of people unfortunately consider to be a negative thing. It's so impressive. It's so commemorable. And I just hats off to Luke Prokop and Carl Nassib for kind of taking a stand and honestly being historical figures, because they're the first in their sport that have really come out and said what needed to be said for years.
Yep, definitely. Kudos to them.
So, I think that is all that we have. So, talking about next week's show, we will be, we'll be back all summer. If you're not aware, every week, every weekend, or I'm sorry, probably every Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, we're going to have a new show for you. I will tell you that I've procured some good interviews for the next couple weeks. So we'll have a couple good people on. We'll get to that later as the shows get closer. But got some good guests coming up. But of course, next week, a lot going on in the NHL, NHL free agency, NHL entry draft, trades. I'm sure, at least trade chatter. So you want to tune in for our next couple shows. I know Kurt will probably be back next week. I think next week's going to be a big show. So again, if you're unaware, Let's Go Blues Radio doesn't go anywhere. We've got a show every single week over the summer. Bill, anything else from you before we close up shop?
No. Just wish there would have been a little bit more sexy talk tonight.
Well, we can talk sexy all you want, Bill.
I think we need to bring that over to the Discord servers.
Oh, Let's Go Blues Radio After Dark.
That's right. Yeah. No, I think it's it was probably always going to be underwhelming, in terms of the draft that happened tonight. Like you said, they've got so much salary cap space, they'll be able to make some splashes in free agent market, without having to give picks away to do it. And it'll be interesting to see where they are, come their opening game against Vegas. And I really do kind of hope that there is that rivalry that develops between Vancouver and Seattle. I think that would be good for everybody. Those natural, geographical rivalries like St. Louis and Chicago, that you hope that something gets going there. But otherwise, let's hope that the draft has a little more drama than what we got to witness tonight.
Yeah, and it typically does. Again, for those that may not remember or maybe didn't follow the NHL when Vegas came in, it was a similar thing. It was, everything came out the day of. There was no drama with the draft itself, which was during the award show then. But the NHL entry draft stuff is reported as it's happening. So there's no, here's all the trades that went down today, and then there's an NHL show to recap all the trades later tonight. No, you're going to hear about it if you're watching the coverage. Gary Bettman's going to jump on. He's going to say, we have a trade to announce, which is like everyone's favorite phrase. Yep. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I really think that we're going to see some movement, at least in the next week. I think by our next show, we're going to have a lot to talk about. Maybe not exactly with all the Blues, but definitely around the league.
Yeah. If we're if we don't have more excitement in our voices on next week's show, then it's going to be a major disappointment because there's just so many unknowns right now that we hope at least a few of them get answered over the next week and give us fodder to talk about.
Yep. Derek says, I think there could be a rivalry with Vegas since they're both recent expansion teams. Yeah, with them being in the same division, completely possible. But I'm with you, Bill. I know that they announced it for those who may not have watched the show tonight. The first home game for the Kraken will be against the Vancouver Canucks. So hopefully that rivalry blossoms because, you mentioned St. Louis and Chicago, but I mean, you look at, Montreal, Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Florida, Tampa Bay has gained some excitement the last couple years. Hopefully that continues to blossom into something awesome because let's see it. Let's see
Rangers,
it, guys.
Islanders, Philly, Washington, Philly, Pittsburgh,
Yep,
all of those
for sure. Well, support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by ID Life, the world's only truly personalized vitamin platform based on a health assessment of your DNA. Visit rockinthatidlife.com for more information. That's rockinthatidlife.com and get 10% off by texting Dustin at 636-393-8745 and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you. Again, that's 636-393-8745. And by Center Ice Brewery, St. Louis's hockey-themed brewery. Visit centerizebrewery.com today to schedule a no-contact curbside pickup or to make a reservation in their awesome tap room. While you're there and enjoying a number of their fantastic beers, you can admire the bar top and tables made of authentic arena wood. Located at 3126 Olive Street in Midtown St. Louis, it's one of the best places to watch a Blues game. That's centerizebrewery.com. Please drink responsibly. That will do it for episode 45 of season 9 of the original St. Louis Blues Hockey Podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thanks for listening, and thanks to those who participated in the YouTube and Facebook live chats during the show. We had a blast doing the show as always, folks, so thank you for tuning in. For the On Assignment, Kirk Price and Bill Day, I'm Jeff Ponder, and this was Let's Go Blues Radio. Until next time, everyone, let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
That was so enthusiastic.
The Chiefs are at home tonight against Sport at the War Memorial at 8. Good seats are still available.
A look at sports.
I think that went very well.
Thank you for listening to Let's Go Blues Radio. Now take off, hosers.
I want you to have a heart attack and die so that we never have to do this shit again.
Well, there's 90 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Sorry.
St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Blues. Have you heard the news about our St. Louis Blues? They've only just begun, they're on their way to #1. Now there's no more blues for our St. Louis Blues. The Blues are on the ice tonight again.